Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Hi humans! Before we kick off the episode, a quick announcement. Next Monday, August 31st, will be our anniversary and final episode of the Blockbuster Punch-Up podcast. If you haven't checked it out, my co-host Todd G. Levin and I review and punch up blockbusters every other week, and this coming Monday will be our finale. But on September 14th, we'll be spinning off its sequel, Blockbuster Smash Up, a show where Todd, myself, and a few of our comedian friends will get together and smash one classically good film and one terribly bad film together to create one ridiculous movie for you to enjoy. If you like improv, movies, or just interested to hear how films like Sharknado and The Terminator could ever occupy the same screen, then be sure to check it out, premiering September 14th on partialarc.com and iTunes. With that said, let's start the show.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics.
Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 35. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the side-splitting Mike Christensen.
I know it sounds like I'm splitting other people's sides with my awesome humor, but my sides are always splits.
They are, yeah.
Because of all my perpetual laughter.
Yeah, it's actually a medical condition.
I'm a Joker victim, basically. I'm just here to speak up.
One of the survivors.
Yeah, man. It's horrible out there.
Yeah, it's tough. And I mean, it's got to be even tougher because of all the tours you're doing. You do a lot of post-Joker laugh tours, right?
It's true, and you go around and you're sort of like, hey, here's where this person died of horribleness. Here's where this person died. Here's where he became the Prime Minister of Iran.
Joker tours.
Gotham City, 9 to 5, and also sometimes Iran.
It's like a ghost tour, but the ghost can still rob you and also kill you.
It's the ghost tour, except I survived, and he's still a murderer.
And he's still a murderer.
He's still murdering.
All right, guys, so at the top of each of our episodes, we go into our pull list, and we talk about the comics we are reading, whether that's on Comixology at your local comic shop. The comic I'm reading for this episode is Daredevil. Daredevil, also known as my spirit animal.
I've said that many times.
Yeah. Daredevil, published by Marvel, written by Mark Waid, and drawn by Chris Samnee. Now, I say that's because kind of what happens with that comic, with that team, but it's great because they're actually credited in the comic as storytellers. Mm-hmm. So it's storytellers together, which I think is amazing because honestly, Mark and Chris work so well on that comic. It's like a beautiful fusion of those two artists, much like Hawkeye was. Mm-hmm. And I cannot get enough of it. I've talked about it randomly here on the podcast about maybe one time we'll talk about Daredevil. Yeah. But Daredevil, the run for Mark and Chris is actually coming to a close, which is so sad. It's ending issue 18, September 2nd, 2015. So
this is like a powerful moment for you.
This is really sad. It's been like kind of the best consistent thing going on for me in my comics life, Mike.
Well, Mark Waid's been writing it since 2012 or something like that.
Yeah, for quite a while.
And then Chris Samnee and he have been working together for a good chunk of his run.
Yeah, and it's so good. So let's get into a little bit about Daredevil.
Yes, please.
Because this Daredevil, it's issue 8. I said issue 18 is where it ends, which is a little odd for somebody writing it that long, and that's because Daredevil kind of rebooted. It rebooted twice. Yeah. So when Mark came in, he rebooted the series and made Daredevil a little bit more lighthearted, and bringing him back to that kind of swashbucklery days where he's like swinging off ropes and maybe taking Namor to court in that one episode we did.
Yeah.
And he brings back Ulysses Claw, he brings back Stiltman, he brings back all these random villains, and he does great stories with them. And Daredevil is finally not this character that's been moping or sad, which he has a lot of reasons to be sad, guys.
I mean, he was a noir character since the 80s, essentially.
That's true. And finally, he gets to be this lighthearted, fun character again, which again, his superpower, sure, he has enhanced senses, if you don't know anything about Daredevil, but
there's a really good Netflix series you need to watch right now.
Right. You can catch it right away. But if you really don't know, Daredevil's number one power is willpower. His power to push through things.
He's Batman.
Even when it's tough, when it's hard. Yeah, he's Marvel's Batman, basically, which is strange. I love Daredevil, I love Batman. There must be some kind of parallel there. I'll figure it out eventually. But when Mark Waid first took over, he brought him back to being a little bit more of a lighthearted character, but he sundowned that run when Daredevil actually revealed his secret identity to New York City. Mm-hmm. And because of this, he actually got up and moved across the country. And that's
he was disbarred.
He was disbarred, so he couldn't do lawyering there anymore.
But fortunately, way back in, I think, the 80s, he had lived in San Francisco and been a lawyer there, and they didn't disbar him. He can be Daredevil, that's fine.
Thumbs up in San Francisco. Yeah. So he packs up his things, travels across the U.S., and starts opening a shop in San Francisco, and he is out. He's out as a superhero. He's out as Daredevil. And this run, it's been going on, as of right now, 17 amazing issues, with 18 sundowning the series, of being an out Daredevil, essentially, in San Fran. And it's a great series that embraces, what it would actually be like for a superhero that isn't Iron Man, that isn't a billionaire, that doesn't deal with day-to-day stuff. Because, Iron Man's out, but he also, he's in board meetings and flying around in space and stuff. That's not a regular life.
I mean, the Fantastic Four have been out. They've never been in. They've always been their public identities, but that doesn't matter for them because they don't really fight crime.
They don't really fight crime.
They just go to other places.
Yeah, crime level activity. This is a superhero who's actually at the alleyway crime level, but he's out. Everybody knows he's Daredevil, and it's fun because Mark and Chris get to play with this character as what does that look like? What does it look like when everyone knows you're Spider-Man, when everyone knows you're Batman? And
when you're not trying to hide it. Because for 10 years, it was out and he was trying to hide it.
Oh, yeah. Every possible way he could. Every trick in the book. I mean,
he went to jail at one point because he was on trial for being Daredevil. It was so unmanageable at a certain point. And then when he finally came out on his own terms, he could embrace it. That was the beauty of him being able to be like, yes, I've been lying to you all for years.
And they start embracing some fun things like, what if he wrote a biography, like an autobiography about himself? What would that look like? And I have to say, there's one new thing they've done with Daredevil, which I kind of really love, and I didn't think I would be on board with, is they give him a new costume.
Yeah.
And they give him a new costume.
Well, they give him a new outfit.
They give him a new outfit. That's right. It's not a costume. He now just shows up in one issue to court, because he's still going to court, and he's Daredevil in court, which is its own parade in itself.
Well, he hasn't been wearing the red costume in court, but this new suit blended the two
worlds, because he's like, I'm Daredevil, but I'm also,
Matt Murdock.
I'm Matt Murdock. I might as well be both, because I am both to the world. So he wears this full red suit, and essentially three-piece suit, and he has his big white cane, and he's got his red sunglasses, and he's got kind of like a shaved head.
Buzzed head.
And in it again, it kind of exudes that confidence that Matt Murdock and as also Daredevil has always had, but now he can kind of blend those two into one as one character. Those
identities into one thing, yeah.
And I think it's just a fun personification of a superhero that's basically embraced, I am a superhero, but I am also a public figure.
The other thing I wanted to point out, because I'm also reading Daredevil, but I'm behind. They did an issue where they addressed the fact that Matt Murdock has depression.
Yeah.
And he's desperately hiding it, but they talked about how he feels this distance, and it's not out of nowhere, because the show, the series has ups and downs, because any good comic series does.
Right. You got to have a little bit of drama mixed with the fun.
I mean, the first run that Mark Waid did had some incredibly chilling, horrific moments in this very lighthearted series. We think of it as lighthearted because he's smiling again.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
But there's a whole thing about human trafficking.
There's a really dark twist with one of his old supervillains that happens to do with some really messed up human trafficking.
And that kind of keeps happening in Mark Waid's stories because he's just a good writer. But they did an issue where they addressed, and he had to sort of start confronting his depression and the fact that he's running away from it. And it's just a really well done issue that not enough is written about that subject in a meaningful intellectual way, in a, what's the word I'm looking for, dismiss it or
gloss over it, essentially.
Simplify it.
Yeah, that doesn't simplify it, because it's not a simplified issue.
It's not just he's sad, now he feels better because you gave him a puppy. Depression is a,
or friendship, that's not how depression works.
Depression's a medical issue that you need to address, and it's just a good comic, guys.
It's just such a good comic.
You know what? It's my poll too. No, I'm kidding.
You know what? Combined pull Daredevil. Read it. But seriously, guys, 17 issues. Catch up right now so you can be on the same page when 18 drops on September 2nd. I love it. Mike, what is your poll?
My poll, its third issue will have come out by the time this episode does.
Ooh.
So it's much
easier to catch up on that.
Yes. It's called Black Canary.
Black Canary
from DC Comics.
So many good things.
And it's very, very reminiscent of the new Batgirl series.
Right.
Where it's down-to-earth punk rock kind of young people kind of vibe. It's actually one of the same writers. It's Brendan Fletcher and Annie Wu is the artist.
And it actually makes sense because she is an ensemble character of the new series of Batgirl. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that they would spin off on that same vibe.
Exactly. And what's interesting about her is that the premise of the series is that she's a part of a rock band on tour. tour. She's the lead singer of a rock band.
Which is perfect for a character like Black Canary.
And they keep getting in fights at every one of their venues.
Wait, really?
There are fights in every venue because, like, some girls are getting roughed up in the audience. So DD, as they call her, Dinah, the lead singer of Black Canary.
They call her DD?
Yeah, the name of the band is Black Canary. And she just keeps diving in and beating up these people. And, like, they then have to figure out, like, well, are we going to get paid for this thing? Or do we have to cover the damages? Like, where did we land on all these? But then there's this mysterious supernatural or superpowered, some sort of thing happening with their guitarist or bassist, I don't remember, who's like a 9-year-old girl who doesn't ever speak. It's an all-girl group.
There's a 9-year-old bassist or guitarist that doesn't speak in the band?
Yeah, and, well, like, publicly she's, like, 19, but I don't think she's actually 19.
Okay, 19 and 9 is very different.
She looks 9. They say she has a glandular problem, so it's like she can play at all these bars. I think she's probably 9 and, like, dealing with her own, things where she doesn't talk for whatever reasons. Also, there's weird supernatural things happening around her, and Black Canary's trying to figure them out. Well, Dinah's trying to figure them out. The band Black Canary is very torn because suddenly their lead singer is, like, beating people up a lot more, and, like, there's a lot of, like, internal strife with the band.
Jeez.
And it's a really cool comic and, like, really well done. I think one of my last polls was Gem and the Holograms, which is also about a rock band. And
girl rock band.
An all-girl rock band. And this is kind of a very different version.
This is a flip of that.
Because they're much more dysfunctional and much more beating up people and weird supernatural things.
It sounds very much like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Like, at the end of their concerts, they have to fight somebody.
There's a lot of Scott Pilgrim in there. Like, I'm not gonna lie. That is something that I see in the comic. Like, because of the violence happening in the music and things.
Right.
Not as absurd as Scott Pilgrim is, because Scott Pilgrim is very stylized.
Nobody explodes into coins at the end of those fights?
Not so far.
Oh, okay.
It's only 2 issues.
Yeah,
so
and there's some supernatural stuff going on.
We'll see.
We'll find out.
There is weird things happening, but it's just a cool comic, and, like, definitely check it out. Get on the ground floor and just give it a try.
That sounds awesome. All right, guys, so those were our polls, and now we'll be diving into our main segment. Mike, kick things off.
Archie, number 636, The Great Switcheroo. I've realized that if your only exposure to comics is through this show, you think the top 3 publishers are DC, Marvel, and Archie.
I think that's true.
We definitely talk about Archie.
We talk about Archie a lot.
We don't ever talk... Like, at some point, we got to read an issue of Spawn or something.
Yeah,
like,
we should, just to balance it out.
We need to find something. Guys, email us, becausecomics@gmail.com. Like, what should we be reading that we're not talking about for a main segment?
What's super weird that we've completely glanced over? There's got to be some weird Spawn issues out there.
There definitely have to be. I've never read a Spawn issue that's felt like it's right for the main segment, but let us know.
Who knows?
Did he ever fight the Punisher? Because that's right up our alley.
You know what? That actually probably would be right up Spawn's alley, though.
Or the cast of Glee? Did Spawn ever meet the cast of Glee?
You know what? If Spawn met the cast of Glee, I want to know about it. Please let us know about that immediately.
But anyway, we're talking about Archie again.
Here we go. This is the Because Comics and also Archie podcast.
Basically, this comic came out in 2012. Script is by Tania close quote, Del Rio, and pencils by Gisele, aka Gil. Inks by Rich Koslowski.
That was a lot of air quotes you did there.
It's true, and there's a lot more. Everyone in the credits has
Most
one.
of this comic is air quotes?
We'll get to why everyone in the credits has another name in a minute. This comic opens with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay.
Hanging
Great start right away.
Yeah, I mean, Sabrina's a member of sort of a recurring character.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing some errands. She's shopping. And she wants to stop at the chocolate shop, which is the name of the shake place everyone goes to.
Right.
Salem, the cat, is with her. Jay, what do you know about Salem the cat?
I know that Salem is a black cat.
Uh-huh.
And that he can speak.
Yes.
And that is all I know about Salem the Black Cat.
Salem's last name is Saberhagen.
Salem Saberhagen is his name.
Salem was a witch.
Oh, well, that's not surprising.
And he has 3 different origins for why he's a cat.
Wait, really? He's like the Joker of cats?
Yeah, well, like, one of them is
from... You want to know how I got this fur?
One of them is from, like, the 90s TV show that was then added to the comics. There was another one, like, a little later. So I don't know what's canon currently, but here's the 3.
Is one of them that he snuck in on 3 witches while they were stealing the life from a child, and they turned him into a cat that he haunts a graveyard forever?
You're not super far off. One of them,
wow.
One of them is he stood up Enchantra, the head witch, at the altar.
Whoa! Don't do that, guys.
Right. Well, he was.
First off, don't ever stand up a witch or be late to a witch's anything.
And we should specify he was turned into a cat by the witch's council to spend an indefinite amount of time as a cat as punishment.
Indefinite?
Yes.
Okay.
For one of 3 reasons. One is that he stood up Enchantra. 2 was that he was attempting to use his magic to make a mortal love him. Super creepy.
Whoa! So he stood up one witch, and then he was hitting on another.
Hang on. These are 3 different versions. ones.
Oh, okay.
I don't know which one's current.
Because if it all happened at the same time, I mean, this guy is making a lot of bad choices.
The third is that he tried to use magic to take over the world.
Okay, so this is supposed to be a guide for Sabrina?
Yeah, or no, he's under her care. This teenage witch
Is taking care of, like, the
is
evilest cat.
keeping watch on this cat who has been punished for either trying to take over the world, trying to roofie someone with magic, or just being a jerk to some girl.
So either
And, like,
terrible, more terrible, or an idiot.
So, like, really, I want to know what's still canon, like, which of these three, or maybe all three of them. I feel like probably not the magic roofie.
Probably not the magic
Like, that's
roofie.
the one I think they probably
Archie
didn't
Comics
use.
might have been like, we didn't think Salem would stay around this long.
Well,
Maybe not the roofie.
He was probably created in, like, the 60s, and then
Yeah.
someone woke up one day and was like, oh, well, that's awful.
We
that
probably
has to
shouldn't have done
go, because in the context of that, well, he's also being punished for it, so let's be fair. What he did was clearly considered wrong, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, all that to say, she has a talking cat. That's what's up with
His
Salem.
name is Salem, and what's his last name?
Saberhagen.
Salem Saberhagen, The Secret Origins.
And his voice was super annoying on the TV show that I loved as a kid.
I do remember that.
Anyway, they go to get a milkshake. Reggie, one of the characters from Archie, goes through first. He doesn't hold the door open. It basically slams on Sabrina. You know, Salem's like, oh, men should hold doors open for women. And Sabrina's like, well, no, it's common courtesy. Hold the door open for anybody.
Shut up, Salem.
And it's Reggie. He doesn't have common courtesy, so whatever.
Yeah.
And Salem's like, well, we should pull a prank on him for a change, because Reggie's kind of a prankster and a punk. And
Ooh, Sabrina pranks would not be, oof.
yeah, and Sabrina's response is, don't talk. We're about to walk into public. She sits down.
So for canonically,
Yeah.
no one else knows that the cat is magic and that it talks.
Right. No one else knows that Sabrina's a teenage witch. That's a big secret.
I didn't know that. I guess to be fair, that would be pretty big drama to have at school, to
Yeah.
have an actual witch.
I don't think she goes to school with them. I think she's just local.
She's just a
not-
teenager that just hangs out in the area.
Well, no, because I think she goes to a school. She's not one of those main characters.
She probably goes to a school with some guy named Xander and some blonde girl who stabs vampires.
Oh, I was going to go Hogwarts.
Oh, you were?
I was going to go Hogwarts reference.
You didn't go Buffy. Oh, well.
Missed opportunity for
Missed
all of us.
opportunity, yeah.
Anyway, they sit down at the counter, but the whole Archie gang's in a booth talking, and Sabrina casts a little eavesdropping spell to hear what they're saying.
I love that magic is so specific that they have an eavesdropping spell.
Yep. And the people in the booth are, Archie, of course, Jughead and Reggie, and Betty and Veronica. And the argument they're having is, who has it worse, boys or girls? Because boys don't really have to try to look good. They don't have to take care of themselves. They barely even shower. Hint, hint, Archie. And Archie's like, hey, what are you talking about?
Hey, Archie's not doing too bad, apparently.
But meanwhile, girls have a pressure to look a certain way. And Reggie answers, well, no, you choose to look a certain way. You choose to spend hours in front of the mirror. And you don't even think about how you take for granted how you could get away with whatever. If you were doing pranks as a girl, no one would ever catch you. He says, I'd never be caught pranking. No one would ever suspect a sweet, innocent girl. And Veronica says, even as a girl, you would never be sweet or innocent, Reggie.
I feel like this is a conversation that everyone loses when they have it.
Pretty much. Salem is listening to all this and says, that's an idea. We'll get Reggie back for his severe lack of gentlemanliness. And Sabrina's response is, no, you don't. You're a cat because you've misused magic before. No mischief on my watch.
Makes sense. It's
So
a pretty
that-
good rule for that cat.
It's true. So that night, while she's asleep and her watch is not watching,
Yeah, it doesn't happen at that time.
Salem sneaks into the magic stuff and brews a powder, grabs the broom, flies over the city, and casts a spell. He drops this powder over the city and
Over the
says-
entire city?
over the whole village, the whole town, and says, walk a mile in each other's shoes, and you'll see which side you'd choose. In this game, none will lose. This is the Great Switcheroo. It doesn't rhyme at the end. I don't know why it doesn't rhyme
I
at
was
the end.
really hoping he was trying to make it work with
It was
switcheroos.
so close.
But switcheroos, I mean,
It should have been.
that's kind of clever wordplay.
Or rewrite it so nothing... There's lots of things that rhyme with switcheroo.
Yeah.
Like, just don't use shoes and choose and lose. Like,
Who knows? Maybe he was forced to. Maybe that was the exact words in the spell recipe.
Can't help it. Anyway,
Yeah.
he goes home, makes some popcorn, and turns on the crystal ball to watch the show. I'm not even joking.
He watches a crystal ball.
He watches the crystal ball, and he sees Archie as a woman or a girl wake up, and she's
First
like,
off, creepy.
Yes.
that's it's like, let's go spy on sleeping
inherently,
children.
like, yes. And she wakes up, and she's like, I feel weird, lighter somehow. Guess I slept better than usual. And she's going through her closet. It's all Archie's t-shirts, and she's like, this is all I have to wear? Can't remember. Maybe I need to do laundry. And she's wearing like an Archie t-shirt, and her parents are like, the mom's like, you could borrow some clothes from me. Like, why are you wearing that? Like, those boys' clothes, that's very strange.
Wait, so the parents are not shocked that Archie is now a woman?
Correct.
Are the parents switched too?
I don't know enough about Archie's parents to know if they've switched.
Okay.
But they seem to be dressed in appropriate attire. Then Salem checks in on Regina to see how she... Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. Archie's female name is Archina.
That's great.
No, it's not. It's so dumb.
Archina?
I hate it.
You feel like the writer took about 5 seconds. They were like, Archina. There we go. Boom, done.
I don't know what else you could do. Like, I don't know what else you
Archella?
Yeah, like, that's the thing. It's like, there's not really anything else that's, like, a good analogy for Archie, but, like, boy, Archina's a dumbass name. Archina sure is cute. I'm just going to put that out there. Freckles does it for me.
Let's unpack what you just said, Mike. So,
Nope.
Nope, moving right along.
Salem he's like, let's check in on Regina, see how she likes things. And then, for some reason, Reggie, has the appropriate attire and a purse and everything, and a compact. Like,
really?
And he says, she says, what pranks for today? Being the most beautiful girl in school just makes it that much easier for me to pull the wool over someone's eyes. Today I'm thinking fireworks. And Salem just thinks, Reggie just doesn't learn.
So, to be clear, they wake up and just totally accept that they've switched genders.
Yes.
It's not surprising at all.
Correct.
They wake up like they've been living the life like this forever.
Yep. Meanwhile, we cut to Betty and Veronica, or Billy and Ron, who are driving to school together.
Billy and Ron?
Yep. They're driving to school, and Ron feels a little weird, like he woke up on the wrong side of the bed, and Billy's like, I never felt stronger.
We're going to have a real difficult time with pronouns on this specific episode.
Billy says, I'm going to try out for the football team today, because he's never felt stronger. Because men are inherently stronger than women, I guess, is the implication.
Ladies, if you don't know, Mike and I wake up most days wanting to throw footballs at things.
That's true.
It's so weird, but I'm glad someone finally addressed it in
inherently.
a comic.
Billy says, I do sort of feel like we're in Inception, or a dream within a dream.
Wait, really?
Which you covered with Inception, buddy. Everyone saw it. Like, if they didn't see it, they know the plot. You don't have to pander.
Yeah.
Anyway, he says, maybe we'll wake up and it'll actually be the weekend and no school at all. And then Ron just drops him off. He's like, well, if this is a dream, doesn't matter if I'm late for school. And drives away, and he thinks, I'll take my chances. Something seems different about today. Something magical. So today's the day I'm going to win Archina's heart once and for all. Meanwhile, Archie, it seems to be the only one who's having any trouble with it, because now she's walking in high heels, Archina, and says, I don't remember, not even high heels, just heels, says, I don't remember shoes being this uncomfortable or hard to walk in. Jughead, aka JJ, shows up. JJ, by the way, has a ponytail that looks like a crown. It's great.
That's awesome.
And a dog, Jughead has a dog named Hot Dog. Here, Hot Dog is a poodle, because of course the female version of a dog is a poodle.
I guess.
Whose name is Hot Dog, Haute.
Fun fact for everyone, dogs that look like hot dogs can also be female.
Yeah, I know, like, exactly. Like,
dogs don't work like that. It's not just like poodles are the female dogs.
Yeah, I know he's
and
called
every other dog is a male dog.
I know Wiener Dog is, like, inherently, like, I know the implications. Meanwhile, Regina walks through literally going, heh, 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 with a bag full of, like, a little sack over her shoulder. Like,
what a terrifying character.
Yes. Sabrina wakes up and is understandably peeved with Salem using her crystal ball, and then finding out that Archina is a thing.
Wait, is Sabrina still a girl, or is she a boy?
Sabrina's still a girl.
Okay.
I understand why.
Yeah, I feel like that would, if you don't want to piss off someone that you're already definitely going to piss off, don't also cast the spell on them.
And he says, when she says, what have you done? Salem says, at first I was just planning to cast a spell on Reggie, but I figured it might be more fun to cast a Great Switcheroo over, well, everyone. Because Tumblr's a thing, and everyone was doing Archie fan art of them gender swaps, so they were like, well, let's do that as a comic.
The artists were like, hey, we already got the images for all these characters, let's do this.
Sabrina has to try to figure out a counter spell and undo it, and Salem says, it's not like they're even aware they've got a spell cast on them, so just enjoy. So long, Riverdale. Hello, Reversedale. Wait till you see Regina.
It's okay. I just meddled with everyone's lives, and they didn't even know about it. I feel like this is something I did before and why I'm in a cat body.
Or maybe didn't? What's canon now?
What's canon? Why?
And he says, just a little while, we'll set things right later. We're just having a bit of fun. Look, Ron's about to attempt to win Archina's heart. This is better than any soap opera. And Sabrina says, well, a few minutes couldn't hurt, and starts eating some popcorn. She will work on the problem in a minute.
Love that crystal ball.
Yeah. Ron shows up with flowers for Archina and says, I won't take no for an answer, and gives him gifts and flowers. And then it says, we have to do something about your clothes, because she's still wearing like a polo. Ron says, I know, after school, a treat to ultimate shopping spree. Every girl's dream. And Archina's like, And then we cut to outside where Billy is trying out for the football team. And Ron feels upstaged because Billy's really, really good. And, Archina's impressed with Billy. Look at that. And meanwhile, one blonde girl is watching and says, I wish I could play. No girls allowed on the team. We found out this is Mouse, the female version of Moose.
Oh.
Moose is a big, huge dude, and Mouse is so small and like very slight. And I think
I love that the reversal is really weird.
That's weirdly sexist.
Yeah, that's
for
a little
2012.
sexist, guys. Like,
I like I think that comes from the name. It's like, oh, what's the female version name for Moose? Let's call her Mouse.
Yeah.
And then you can't have Mouse
but
be
like, I can't
huge.
believe they didn't write that down and then immediately go, well, that's pretty offensive.
Like, that's weird that like Tania and Gisele that didn't be like, that seems weird. Like, girls can be super ripped too. Like, that's
Yeah.
a thing that happens.
I mean, we've got actresses like Gwendolyn Christie.
And like Ronda Rousey is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like those are two badass females who are beautiful and female and also awesomely badass.
Yes, this one comic has a problem with badass females.
Apparently.
They fixed it. This
Yeah,
one
you know
comic.
what? Only Archie Comics has ever had an issue with it.
Anyway, Ron gets very jealous of Billy on the field, so he actually just runs out there to try to upstage him.
Right.
You know, and gets booed because that's really poor form.
And it's not how football works.
Well, it's a tryout, but he is not trying out.
Right.
He just tackles a dude on the field, and then fireworks go off in the cafeteria
What?
because of Regina.
Oh, Regina.
The staff has also been switched. So it's Ms. Weatherby as the principal and
right.
Mr. Grundy as the teacher and, you know, things like that.
Sure.
Regina gets immediately caught and she says, you know, what? But I'm innocent. You think someone like me, the prettiest, most popular girl in school, could do such a terrible thing? And Ms. Weatherby says, Regina, the rules are the same for boys and girls.
Yeah. Like, it does not matter.
That's how it works. And while watching this, Sabrina says, okay, this spell has gone too far. And Salem points out he would have set off the fireworks regardless. And Sabrina says maybe he or Regina, whoever, thought that being a girl could get away with it. Instead, Gina got detention. Are you satisfied? And Salem's like, yes, he got what he deserved. And Sabrina says, well, no, she did. And we're going to make things back the way they were. Fire up the magic cauldron. And she's going to try to figure out the spell. But she needs to do it fast because soon, at least part of the spell is going to wear off. And people are going to start remembering that they used to be dudes and chicks and are now chicks and dudes.
Yeah, that's
And
going to probably be...
That's a thing that they're going to need to figure
bad.
out. So she has to figure out how to get everyone together at the same place in the same time so they can all be within range. And Salem says, well, people love free stuff. Maybe create some kind of free event that'll attract everybody. So she figures it out. She does a little magic. We cut back to the school. In the cafeteria, you know, they're giving Gina a hard time for a very destructive and dangerous prank.
Right.
And she's like, oh, well, Ron, are you impressed? And Ron's like, no, not really, because these dynamics are still the same, where
Yeah.
Reggie's hitting on Veronica in some form or another. We see Dilton, or Dilly now, who's a very cute little nerdy girl with pigtails.
Aw.
And she tells them that it's all over Face Space, which is, I think, a great name for a fake social
That's
media.
pretty fun. Face space.
Joey and the Junkyard Dogs are holding a free concert this evening.
Wow.
Josie and the Pussycats.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joey and the Junkyard Dogs.
Because, of course, cats are female. Anyway, they're holding a free concert this evening. They're filming for their next music video. They want everyone in Riverdale to show up and make a cameo because that's a great free way to get extras.
Absolutely.
And Regina says this is the prime opportunity for mischief. So they all get to the concert. Sabrina flies over and says, you know, you made quite a mess to clean up, Salem. Salem's riding on the broom with her. And Salem says, consider it a favor. Thanks to me, you're strengthening your magic abilities, learning to think on the fly. Plus, these kids will learn a little appreciation. And then we find out she magically made this concert happen.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how did she magically make Joey and the Junkyard Dogs, formerly Josie and the Pussycats, put on a concert just randomly?
You can just make people do things with magic.
Okay, that sounds
You clearly never
responsible.
watched the show. They did that all the time.
Okay,
Yeah, it's a thing.
all right.
Anyway, the lyrics are, walk a mile in my shoes and you'll see another side of me. Just don't be a fool, be who you're meant to be.
That's a little bit better
thing.
than the other one.
And Sabrina casts her spell, and weeks later, the kids are in the Pop's chocolate shop, and they're talking about this weird music video by Joey and the Junkyard Dogs or whatever, this weird Josie and the Pussycats parody where there's people who look kind of like them in it.
Wait, so they see a music, that music video actually happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're watching it, they're like, you know, or they've watched it, they're talking about it, and Veronica's like, yeah, Archie, there's a girl in there who looks like she could be your sister. You too, Jughead. And Jughead's like, I do have a sister. Not that weird for me.
That's not weird, guys.
And they use the term reverse Dale again, because it's like there's alternate versions of all of them there.
Right.
And they're like, I feel like we were all there, though. Like, maybe it was just a dream. And Veronica says, what a terrible dream, then. I'm happy the way I am. I wouldn't want to be any other way. After all, I'm the best me I can be. And Archie's like, yeah, agreed. That goes for all of us. And they all cheers their milkshakes.
Clink their glasses together.
Exactly. And Salem and Sabrina are watching. And Salem's like, nice work, Sabrina. And Sabrina says, thanks, Salem. Now don't you ever do anything like that ever again. You of all people should know how it is to be stuck in another body. And Salem's just last panel, just him going, don't remind me. Like, essentially. Comics.
That was a great main segment with...
That's that time that Tumblr definitely inspired Archie.
Thanks, Tumblr. All right, so that was our main segment, and that'll take us into our game, Super-Mundane. All right, this is Super-Mundane. This is the game where Mike and I will name a mundane task or activity, and we'll have to try to figure out which hero from Marvel or DC would be the best or worst at doing this specific activity. So for our Super-Mundane, it is, who is the best and worst travel agent? Now, for anyone out there who doesn't remember what a travel agent is, because we don't really have them anymore, or has never heard of one, a travel agent used to help you plan your trips. A travel agent, essentially.
I feel like that's in the name.
Pretty in the name, but just in case. So who would be the best and worst travel agent, Mike?
Boy, well, it's got to be somebody who's been everywhere.
Yeah, someone who's been around and can be like, well, you're going to want to stop here because you're going to want to get your Cinnabons from Atlantis, and you're probably want to get your churros from, Hyperborea or wherever.
Ooh, good pull.
You all don't know about the churros of Hyperborea? They were the...
That's my favorite Conan story. I feel like that's someone in the Fantastic Four could be a good pick. I'm figuring, Sue Storm could do it very responsibly, and Johnny Storm would do it. That is a thing that could happen in comics, is Johnny Storm sets up a travel agent to, the negative zone or Atlantis or wherever.
That's right.
And just starts running them. And it wouldn't be disastrous.
No, probably
not. It would just be, a waste of money and waste of time.
And he's good with vehicles, so you could probably set up, a good, travel system if we're going all out. He'd be like, Johnny's Travels or Torch Travels or something like that.
Human Torch Travels, Fantastic Travels or whatever.
Fantastic Travels. Hey, he'll at least know, oh, no, you don't want to go to Latveria. You don't want to go to Latveria. Trust me, guys.
Yeah.
You want to go...
How high do you think the tourism rate is in Latveria to begin with?
Probably very low.
Yeah,
what do you think the percentage of Doombots are in Latveria? You got population, you got Doombots. What are we thinking? 90% Doombots?
45% probably
45% Doombots? He's got to have a milkman, probably probably a Time Warner guy.
Well, here's the thing. I think those are all government jobs that people hold.
Right.
I think everyone works. I just think his castle is full of Doombots.
That's true.
That's not what this segment's about.
That's not what this segment's about. This segment is about who's the best travel agent. And I think we've landed on Johnny Storm. I think he is a good travel agent. You got to be personable.
Yep.
And he's been everywhere. He even died in a foreign dimension. He died in the negative zone. So
and he came back a conqueror.
That's true.
He conquered it.
So if Johnny's going to be our best travel agent, who's going to be our worst travel agent?
Wolverine feels like he'd be bad at it.
I guess.
Wolverine would take... Here's the thing. He's been to a lot of places.
He has.
He knows a lot of places. And he's been to places you might even think you'd like to visit. Madripoor is a seedy, horrible, crime city, but it's Taiwan. It's oh yeah, this weird, fantastic place. And you get there and they're oh, there's no laws at all. There's just drugs and mutants, real bad.
Yeah, but with Logan, I don't know, would he really embrace... You know who could be really bad travel agent? Booster Gold could be really bad. Because Booster Gold is a time traveler.
Again, I see it in my head.
Yeah.
That is a comic story that has not happened, and that's a crime.
Booster Gold, the travel agent.
We should clarify who Booster Gold is, because he has not been in 4 movies.
Yeah, he's not been in a lot of movies. So Booster Gold is a time traveler from the future. I think year 3000?
Something like that.
And he travels back, and he gets his hand in the future on, a super suit. Think of it like a suit that basically makes you like Captain America, but also shoot lasers.
He was a janitor that then found Iron Man's armor, essentially, but as a costume.
Yeah.
He came back to the past to be a superhero.
Yep, to live in the golden age of superheroes.
And to be the best superhero. For fame.
And I believe doesn't his outfit come stock with sunglasses? Doesn't he have sunglasses built into his superhero outfit? Yeah. He's
because he's the best superhero, and that's what the best superheroes look like.
Oh yeah. And guys, just the name. If you don't know who Booster Gold is, just the name, Booster Gold. You get the entire character from that name.
But he's also very short-sighted.
Yeah.
So he would be tours to the Jurassic era, or to...
And he would also get things wrong, because he often gets time wrong. He remembers it. He'll be guys, this will be totally fine. This is not when that lava thing... Oh, wait, this is that time. Why do I remember this place?
Pompeii. That's where it happened.
Sorry about that, guys.
Oops.
That's the other thing. He'd take people on time travel trips to save people and look cooler.
Yeah.
He'd probably take you to that time just so he could punch out that one dictator that we don't talk about.
Stalin?
Stalin, yeah, that was Stalin. And, he'd go to that time where...
Dr. Doom?
Yeah, Dr. Doom.
Namor?
Yeah.
Black Panther?
All of those ones. Black Panther.
Black Panther's a nice guy, but he's a dictator.
Is he a dictator?
No, he's not a dictator.
No, he's a monarch.
Yeah, that's true. That is a difference.
Not the difference, not the same as a dictator. But yeah, he would take you to time travel periods just to punch out the biggest bad at that time.
Darkseid's a monarch, or dictator.
This is, again, not what we're supposed to be doing.
I'm just stuck on
You're
this
just
one.
labeling people that Booster Gold would punch out that are
There's
monarchs,
a lot of dictators.
Yeah, Marvel is big on
It's not just Marvel.
on evil dictators.
It's a lot of Marvel.
It's a lot of Marvel. I was about to say, name a lot of dictators in DC. I can only really think of Black Adam.
Yeah. Booster Gold would be a bad travel agent.
Booster Gold would be a really bad travel agent. So let's recap. Our best is going to be Johnny Storm because he could probably do it and knows responsibly how to do it.
Even though he would act irresponsible and it would go awry, but like in a fun way.
But he's a showman. It'd be kind of like those jungle cruises at Disney World where it's like, we're getting close to the crocodiles. Guys, we're fine. Don't worry. I'm Johnny Storm.
It would be.
He survived the negative zone, guys. But then you've got Booster Gold, on the other hand, who consistently screws up when he does things to look cool.
It's funny how similar those characters are.
They are, but
like,
one is just
really similar.
And it's amazing because, like, Johnny is not known for being super responsible.
He's just competent.
He's just way more competent than Booster Gold is.
Yeah.
So our best for best travel agent is Johnny Storm, and our worst is going to be Booster Gold. So that was episode 35 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at partialarc. And be sure to check out more content from our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, at partialarc.com, where he writes articles every Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for listening, and remember,
if someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
Yes, you always say yes, guys.
I can't imagine why you wouldn't.
A deity stands before you with 2 murder dogs staring to kill you. You say yes, guys.
Because comics.